What's going on, YouTube? Claic Yuzolt back again with another Genshin Impact video, and today we're doing a character showcase on the little tiny zombie QiQi and how strong she can really be in supporting with healing abilities on your squad. Let's get into it. QiQi is going to be a fantastic 5-star cryo damage dealing healing support unit, a mouthful for you guys to be using if you end up pulling her in Genshin Impact. She's fantastic, guys. Not only can she put out the damage, she is based around her attack stat for her healing, so you don't have to sacrifice damage to do some healing, and she applies AoE cryo, which is fantastic in and of itself. So first off, let's look at her normal attacks. They're going to be very speedy. So for me, I'm a Claymore user. I'm used to using Diluc. I'm used to using Chongyun, and now I find myself being able to have fun and attack extremely fast. With her 5 rapid strikes happen with her auto attack. If we look at her charge attack, though, it's not as good for me. I don't really enjoy that as much. It's just 2 hits, really fast, I guess, 2 hits, but then it's like slow to try to do it again. It's just kind of lackluster compared to a lot of the other charge attacks I've seen. And with the 5 rapid strikes, I just see myself running around with little tiny QiQi and swinging around as much as possible. It's a very, very fun play style. Next up, let's talk about our elemental skill, which is going to be Adeptus Art Herald of Frost. Essentially, this is going to be very similar to Barbara. If you've ever played with Barbara, where she puts like the little water music notes around her, applies Hydro, and then the person that you can switch and it stays active for as long as its duration is, and they get healed periodically. It's kind of going to be similar to this ability, honestly. QiQi is going to put some ice talismans around her, like that little ice ball, and periodically it will swing. It'll do like AoE damage. Whatever it hits, now it has to hit the enemy, it is going to apply cryo to them and do cryo damage. Again, like we talked about, if you have this active on you, you will also be healed periodically, which is great. It's like a passive heal that you can have. And then if it is on QiQi, as she auto attacks, she will be dealing damage, but also healing your entire team for a portion of that damage dealt. And it is based off of the attack that your QiQi has. So the more attack your QiQi has, the more damage she's doing while this elemental skill is active, the more healing she will be doing, which is great, right? You're doing cryo damage, you're healing up your entire team, you can switch off and it's still applying cryo, spinning around and healing your people. What a great elemental skill for a damage dealing support healer. It's fantastic. Moving on, we have Adeptus Art Preserver of Fortune. This ability right here is going to be AoE cryo damage. She's just going to explode out and apply it to a bunch of enemies. It has a big range, and those enemies will also have a debuff applied to them, not only the cryo damage she will apply. And it's called Fortune Preserving Talisman. And essentially what this means is, you'll see it has like this nice debuff icon, as you can see in the video I'm showing you. Anybody that damages that enemy, that has that debuff applied to them, and she does it to everybody around her when she pops her elemental burst here, they do damage, they heal for that damage. So it says, when enemies affected by this talisman take damage, the character that dealt this damage regenerates HP. So it is a fantastic way for you just to burst out, apply a bunch of cryo, switch to your big daddy damage dealer, and have them heal up. This is a way to make sure you specify which character can heal up the fastest. It is a very, 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 very strong ultimate to very pinpoint, like I said, who you want to get the healing, because you just switch to them and start dealing damage to the person debuffed with the talisman. It's very, very good. Moving on to our passives, our first one up is Life Prolonging Methods. When a character under the effects of Adeptus Art Herald of Frost, which means that little talisman that spins around her elemental skill, or her E, triggers an elemental reaction, their incoming healing bonus is increased by 20%. So it doesn't matter who is active, as long as they have the E on them, the little circle thing that spins around. If they do an elemental reaction, their healing bonus will be increased by 20%, having them heal more, having them heal better, stuff like that, you know what I mean? Very, very good. Kind of just added bonus to make sure you're getting all the healing in that you need. Next up, we have one that I think is her best passive, which is when QiQi hits enemies with her normal attacks or charge attack, she has a 50% chance to apply Fortune Preserving Talisman to them for 6 seconds. This can only apply every 30 seconds. What this means is, when QiQi is normal auto attacking, once you've unlocked this passive, she has the opportunity to apply that talisman from her ultimate onto the enemy just by auto attacking. So if you find yourself, your Diluc's hurting or your Keqing is hurting, they're low on HP, you're not near your ultimate, this could proc, then you switch to your damage dealer and start just laying it onto that person, and they will heal for a lot, because now you've applied that outside of just having to use her elemental burst. Very, very good passive and very useful. I've had to run into that and use that a lot as I've been playing. And last but not least is an amazing passive, exactly the same thing as Claic, but for Liyue. Displays the location of nearby resources unique to Liyue on the minimap. So you guys are going to be able to go out there and farm to your heart's content for that Cobalt Lapis or whatever you guys need. You're just going to be able to find it with QiQi on your squad, which makes it a lot easier for that weekly battle pass, collect 100. She kind of just points them out for you guys to get a hold of. So up next, we're going to be talking about the Constellation. So we can see here her first constellation that you can unlock says when Herald of Frost hits an enemy marked with a fortune preserving talisman, QiQi regenerates 2 energy. So essentially all that means is that if you have your E active, the one that spins around, right, and you've applied that elemental burst debuff that allows you to heal when you do damage to them, that can come from her auto attacks, from her passive, or using her elemental burst, QiQi is going to regenerate 2 energy, which means she gets closer to doing that big AoE cryo damage and applying that debuff to everybody that much faster. A very, very strong passive there. Next up is the Frozen to the Bone. QiQi's normal and charged attacks against enemies affected by cryo is increased by 15%. And she applies a lot of cryo, so that just increases her damage by 15% almost always, because she should be having cryo on everybody almost all the time. It's very, very close to being all the time up because of her E, and especially if you guys end up putting a sword on her that I think is very, very strong, you'll have that E up very, very often along with her elemental burst ability. Next up, we have 2 abilities here that just allow her abilities to be leveled up higher, you know, putting up to a maximum of 15 and raising the ability by 3. That's like, you know, kosher on all units. Divine Suppression. Targets marked by Fortune Preserving Talisman, which is the debuff, again, that comes from her elemental burst or her passive that can apply it every so often, have their attack decreased by 20%. So if you get this, not only are you healing off of those enemies, not only is your other teammates healing off of those enemies, they're also getting debuffed by their attack, and that's AoE. She applies it to everybody when she does her elemental burst. That would be very, very strong if you could ever get to it. It is fantastic. And last but not least, we're going to run into Rite of Resurrection. Similar to Barbara, she gets the ability to raise fallen party members easily using Adeptus Art Preserver of Fortune, which is going to be your elemental skill. Revives all fallen party members nearby and regenerates 50% of their HP. The effect can only occur once every 15 minutes. It's an AoE re-raise, guys. If you get in trouble, you just pop her E, her elemental skill, and it re-raises everybody. So it seems like all these units, again, if you get them to C6, some insane abilities down there. But overall, QiQi has some great ones in her constellation, but I would say not exactly 100% needed. Like, it's not like some units, you know, people really push their constellation, but for QiQi, I think she does her job very well without even having to get any of her constellation. She's a very, very good unit standalone with 1 copy. So looking over the weapons that QiQi can have on, there are actually quite a few that are very good for her. I'm going to give a 5-star base weapon. It's going to be the Skyward Blade. I think this one's very good. With elemental recharge on it, it gives you some crit. When you use an elemental burst, it increases your movement speed and your attack damage that you do with the unit. That's going to be very, very strong as a 5-star base weapon. But most of the time, I'm finding that Sacrificial Sword might just be better anyway. It gives you the energy recharge, but less, because it is a 4-star gotcha weapon. The other one that I just talked about being a 5-star gotcha weapon. But let's read the ability and what it does. After damaging an opponent with an elemental skill, the skill has an 80% chance to end its own CD. And this can only occur every 16 seconds. Obviously, I've refined mine up to 5. I've been summoning a lot, but you can see the stats here. So what this means is, you're out there and you're applying your E onto enemies, right? The little thing that spins around. When it hits an enemy, it has a chance to just automatically come off cooldown, 80% chance, and that can be applied every 16 seconds. So it is insane, right? You're going to have your E up a lot, and again, your E can be applying that cryo even if you switch off of QiQi, which is, you know, just great. You know, we've seen those units like that with Fischl. We've seen units like that with Zhongling. You guys make fun of me in the comments. I can't say it right. We've seen how good it can be when you're applying elemental effects outside of just being out there, and this could be great for her just triggering that all the time. And again, the energy recharge is great because you have 2 ways you can really build QiQi. Just full on attack, you're going for the big hills, you're going for the big damage, or kind of a support type of build, kind of like a you know, I'm going to be doing some damage, but I'm more here to heal, more here to get more elemental skills off, and most importantly, here to get my elemental burst off as much as possible. So if we go ahead and bring up what artifacts and things I think you guys should be going with QiQi, I think overall, here are the weapons you guys can choose from. Again, we have Sacrificial Sword, we have Skyward Blade, we have the Flute, and then I also think that the A Battle Pass sword is also great, but I think more so over Sacrificial Sword is the best weapon to go for me, in my opinion, with the support type of build. If we talk about artifacts for her, I think there's two different kinds of artifacts you can go with. It's either going to be Maiden Beloved, which is going to be a set that just gives you guys healing effectiveness up. You want to go with this if you find yourself not having the healing needed and necessary in QiQi's base kit. If you find it's lacking, you find you want to be healing more, this is the set you want to go with. However, if you decide, hey, I want to be doing a little bit more for my team, you can do the Noblest Oblige set, which it's the one I would go with now. And it seems like everybody and their mom wants to have this set on. Elemental Burst damage up 20%. So now she's doing more damage with that AoE Cryo Burst that she has. She's also using an Elemental Burst, increases all party members' attack by 20% for 12 seconds. So not only is she healing now, not only is she doing damage, but now she's also buffing up everybody's attack as she's doing her Elemental Burst, which is why I think it's fantastic. If we move down to what stats you guys should be prioritizing, I do think it's going to be attack percent into energy recharge, into healing bonus, and then after that, you guys can go for attack or, flat attack, because again, we want her to have as much attack as possible because that's what her healing is based off of. However, getting off as many energy recharge bonus and getting off as many elemental bursts as you can, or ultimate, is fantastic. That will increase your healing and damage by tenfold if you could just keep freaking popping it off, right? That's very, very good. It's something you should look out for. So it's going to be a mix, right? I think she's very, very easy to build because you can have just a ton of attack percent as a main stat on a lot of these items when we're talking about the Hourglass, the Goblet, or the Crown. But if I had to choose specifically what I would be going for, it would be for the Hourglass energy recharge, the Goblet attack percent, and then the Crown, I'd be going for healing bonus or maybe another attack percent, depending on how you want to play with her. And if you really want to build her supporty, kind of like this build here, or if you want to go more into doing as much damage as possible, really going to be up to you on that, guys. So overall, again, I love QiQi. Mine is not built up where I really need her to be, but I'm going to get her there eventually. It's going to be really fun. I kind of let her fall to the wayside because that's how this game works a little bit, where your support units kind of fall behind a little bit because they can get the job done. But I think QiQi can really shine if you put some tender love into her. You make sure that you raise up all of the stuff that you can, and she can really start pumping out that damage as well, which is going to be great. So if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment down below how you feel about QiQi, and if you're building her any different, subscribe for future Genshin Impact content, follow me on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/ClaicYuzolt, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.